Good morning, everyone. First of all, thank you all for taking the time to join the software demo today. Before we start, let me briefly introduce what we'll cover in this demo. We'll go through the core functions demos, real business operation processes, key features that optimize your workflow, and how this software solves the pain points in daily freight forwarding operations. I'll also leave time for questions and answers at the end. So feel free to note down your questions and we'll address them one by one. First, we can enter the username, start with login. Use your own name and password and login. And after login, the system is divided into a navigation menu on the left and the main interface on the right. The first page you'll see is the home page, which contains 4 modules: to-do items and notifications, serve as a centralized hub for internal messages and the internal approval processes. System announcements are where administrators can post notices and announcements within the system. Alert messages are reminders for important system-related items, which can be configured. Now, let's move on our today's introduce. First, we introduce about receivable accounts and accounts payable invoice. We have several functions today. After confirming the details fields with the client, we can proceed with the reconciliation based on the recorded charges. Now, we open and next call data first and select one bill. Link to ARAP interface. And this shows accounts receivable, and under is accounts payable. And we click debit. There are two modes print the payment account. New debit, return it. Here, all unpaid amount for client will be displayed. Select here. Save. And save it. Then will the system and send signal to your client. Preview and preview and print it. Once saved, it will sorry. Let's try the generate bill function instead. Once saved, it will link all the selected charges to this unique bill number. Here, this bill number. These charges will then be locked and become unchangeable. Here, we can refresh it. It's a lock icon. And they showed this phrase cannot be modified. If we look back, we can see all the charts are now marked with a log icon and the bill number. We can jump to the corresponding debit note by using this bill number. Here, click it and return to the debit note. After generating the bill, you can still send it to the client via the print button. We preview and print it and send it to your client. Now, how do we make adjustments if the client requests a slight modification during reconciliation? Since the amounts in the account receivable payable status are already locked and cannot be changed directly, we need to make the adjustments directly on the bill interface. Adjust the amount is. We should first choose it and adjust it. You can amount here. Okay. Then refresh it. Here, it shows here. And modifying the amount here. The total in the bill section and the corresponding amount in the accounts receivable table will be synchronized automatically. This allows changes made through the bill to update the financial records seamlessly. Refresh it. And we introduce another method of direct print debit note. We can put debit and print debit, preview printed. Also, you can send the receivable here document to your friend. This is a simple way. All right, now that the collection reminder process is done, the next step is the payment requisition process. After entering the account payable details, there is entering payable. There is a payment button at the bottom at the top. Click on payment. The system will then display all unpaid expenses for the related party. Select the expense details you wish to include in the requisition. Then generate the payment order. This step is mandatory. You must generate the payment order first. Then click Save. Now, this represents the payment order we need to execute. However, all payment orders must go through the approval workflow. Click Submit Application. Route it to the corresponding approval flow. The approval flow is customized according to each company's pricing. You just need to determine who is the approver and submit the application to them. And the finance team will see a notification in their task queue to do list here. What we just walked through is the process of applying for a payment order and submitting it for approval. As the approver specifically here we can take action, either approve or reject. Once approved, it means the payment can be processed, agree or reject, agree and okay. The actual payment will then be made according to the amount and the paying an entity specified in the payment order. Here shows the finance agree to pay it. That completes the entire payment process. Now we introduce about invoice. Navigate back to the accounts receivable payable interface. Next, we'll cover invoicing. Specifically, the apply for invoice section. There is an invoice button here. Click it to generate the accounts receivable invoice. The interface that covers us is actually very similar to the one we just saw for the collection and payment sections. Here, the system will display all the client's expenses that are pending invoicing. Click to generate invoice and select the invoice type you wish to issue. New invoice. Alternatively, if you have a tax ID, you can maintain it here. This information is required to be filled in when the invoice interface is needed in subsequent processing. Once saved, it can be updated later. Here are the special remarks here for the invoice. This needs to be reflected on the actual invoice. For example, if we need to show various ETD, dates, or bill of lading numbers here, we can enter them here. Once everything is filled, click OK. Will then be redirected to the invoice application interface. Or rather, The output invoice interface. This is the interface where we apply for invoices. The actual finance staff in charge of invoicing will then generate the invoice based on this information. Click Save. The generate action is performed as described. For the finance department, all generated invoices can be accessed via the menu labeled Invoice Output text. This is where all pending invoice applications will be listed. Invoice number, invoice data. Here, you can distinguish between provisional invoices and formal invoices. Invoices starting with the prefix LS, are the default provisional invoices. This indicates applications submitted by the operations team, meaning the finance department hasn't yet issued the actual invoice. After the physical invoice is issued, if the system has an interface, you can directly generate the invoice from the system. However, if there's no interface, you will need to manually enter the invoice number and save it. Once this is done, the invoice will be updated to a formal invoice. This step is performed by finance. Once the invoice is generated, the finance team's invoicing process is complete. The following is a complete finance module. Financial module. Let's move on to our financial module. First, let's go to the fund management section. Close. These functions like payment, reminders, payments, and invoices have already been covered. We'll skip those here as they work identically to the previous modules. In simple terms, fund management consists of three core parts: fund import, just is e-bill import, fund reconciliation, and the silent assignment, and the initial bank. Fund import. This allows you to import electronic bank statements, Excel, directly into the system. And pending money. This is our unified fund management dashboard, where all funds are centralized here. Initial bank is also initial balance setup. This is used to set the initial balance for each bank account, enabling us to view and track the income and expenses. As well as the current balance for any specific time period. New. Before using the electronic bank statement import, we need to complete the bank configuration. This task is typically managed by us. You can send it to our team technologies, to us, for the import process. Select the corresponding bank account. And tick the tick box. Click Import and upload the bank statement file that you downloaded locally. Input. And you can select the bank statement file here that you are downloaded locally and open it. Click Save, and the funds will then enter the pending funds section. Once in the pending funds section, we need to perform a verification review. The purpose of verification is to find the settlement entity in the bank statement with the customer record in the system. Essentially, to identify which current client or vendor the fund belongs to. This is what we call the claim process. If the settlement entity hasn't been previously created in the vendor record, the system will not claim it automatically. We must first create a new vendor application before we can perform the manual claim or assignment. Important note, during verification, if the vendor record already exists, the system will assign it automatically. If not, manual assignment is required after creating the vendor. After assignment, we can proceed with the right of operation. Match. Use the arrow to fill it. Select the already assigned funds or switch to the pending write-off view and use the filter to locate the funds ready for write-off. Click the write-off button. Here we can retrieve the related parties. And you can see under more conditions, there is a default condition. Fetching all pending expenses records for this party. You can either manually select them or use the system's Smart Selection feature. Smart Selection feature. The Smart Selection will automatically match the total amount of the fund against the expenses. It will prioritize matching exact amounts. If no exact match is found, it will process the expenses sequentially. Such this bill. Current match is 900 and match is 1,500. That covers the content in this section. If we don't need to write off the full amount this time, we can manually modify the amount in the write-off amount column. This will convert it into a partial write-off. After clicking Save, we can Open the details button in the top corner to review which general ledger account the write-off expenses belong to. Shows here the number. If we recognize other account numbers, it's just that this specific data wasn't recorded. That concludes the feature introduction. Then you can select the received payment and write-off. So this is offset write-off. Now we are finding the offset write-off. Select all and search it. You can select the received payments and write-off. So this is offset write-off. Oh, let's have a rest for 10 minutes. Please drink water. OK，怎么样？这个关掉。那这些都拿了。那这些再来就讲统计表的汇率了。统计表汇率是怎么个意思？锁定在你脸上的按钮。是。 Let's take a break. What can you do? Ask questions. Follow through. Follow through. We will use react to the one still struggles to rock the busy stage of life. 锁定，来，弄一下。锁定哦，锁定是在有专门的店面，还是我们就看那个锁的那个？
对，这么看嘛，钉好的。
你知道，那我们只是看还是那个去做手的工？就设计的。那我要怎么说啊？这哪里有一个选工作号吧？
选择时间范围，或者说你要做的范围，
选择什么？就是跟上它其实就是说，这个其实没有具体的操作啊，就是跟你说那个手令上面时间范围。
那么选定好范围之后不就要走了吗？那其实你整月走，这条你说啊，我要手上，比如说要手上3个月的，就要过掉范围，过滤之后再我全选锁定，但是就收到了。
收到了吗？开始。
他们开始了。
我们就讲锁定，然后统计，然后汇率就好了。
对。就是他刚刚群里在问，如果锁定完之后，就是还是加一句话，锁定完之后，如果还要去更改，那就需要走特殊的调账流程。如果锁定之后还需要变更费用，那就是要走特殊的调账流程。这个呢，碰到的时候再来咨询。
等下你具体我说的地方。那就接下来就讲锁定统计汇率。讲个学问这个。Welcome to NT Game. Now we move on to financial blocking. You might be curious about what this means. Now let's go to a new menu called the expense dashboard. We can click the plus icon on the top and put dashboard. It helps us to find it quickly. On the expense dashboard, we can select period. On the expensive dashboard, we display the total amount of accounts receivable and payable for each shipment. The finance team's job is to log the bill data from the previous month or the month before that every month. The idea of blocking is to fix the business data of corresponding expense data. this log. First, select all and then click this log. Let's log completely. Once locking, the further changes are not allowed. If we will need to change the expenses after locking, we'll have to go through a special adjustment process. You can consult again when this actually happens in practice. All right, move on to the statistics and then analysis. We won't go into the other modules as they are too comprehensive. Analysis. Here we can see a wide range of statistical and analysis functions. Let me go through them briefly one by one. Business analysis and statistics. This is mainly used to view profit per shipment, volume, and statistics such as cargo volume by consignor. The dimension for this analysis is based on each shipment order with one record per shipment. And we can click the button red, glow. We can see the current profit and current ARAP. The statistical table will pull up data based on our criteria. It means conditions. For example, showing all orders this month along with their respective accounts receivable, payable, and profit figures. There are quite a few columns displayed here. Quite a few columns. Suppose we want to analyze the number of shipments or containers generated by each client. We can click the client button and move it to here. To the designated area. Then we can see currently there's only one product with the total profit figures, total total Q. Let's check the profit. Then here are the total quantity. Another method, we can analyze by root. Just drag the root field up to classify the data. We can then use the number of shipments and the combined container count for each root. Setting, we can create a new template. Name the new template name. And the field items, the following many items. We select sales, sales, and Q. Save it. Then here, now, and we can see it very convenient. It's very quickly to profit and this covers all data in our business analysis statistics table. Because there are quite a few columns. Sometimes when analyzing data from different perspectives, we don't need to see all of them. For example, if you only want to calculate the profit in functional currency from the perspective of each salesperson, much of this data will be redundant for me. In that case, I can create a template. Click on New Template and select Sales Name. We just handle it. And we can create multiple templates and switch between them. There's no profit in this one. This is the public business analyzing statistics for everyone to use, while the ones we create are private for our own use only. Now we talk about the pension fund money. Now we introduce the account unreceivable and unpaid statements. And we can handle it. This we repeat it again. This statistical table will pull up data based on conditions, for example, showing all orders this month, along with their respective accounts receivable and payable and profit figures. There are quite a few columns displayed here. Suppose we want to analyze the number of shipments or containers generated by each client. Every we can see every client about their corresponding unpaid and collected amount. This is called current current AR and current AP. That's about statistics process. Um, additional introduce how to ex- um, what extend this template. Most interface are like this. Um, set up layout, right click. We can drag it from up to down or from down to up. Show it. Hidden it. And save it. The layout. Let's change it, the changes direction. Okay. Mhm. Summary, we just introduce import the flow EDO import and pending money metric and settle lobster and statistics and analysis and field we frequently use it. And from the start, we talk about AR18, accounts receivable, accounts payable, and invoice. Um, about this uh, content, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask us at any time. Let's okay. 5 minutes later, you can ask it. Ask now. Let's take a break. 会吗？没有，那是准备的。那天前面的准备是从后面 AIP，我突然间可能前面也没做一下，然后我是看我们的那个流程吧，就很简单，没怎么说的，后面都没有怎么尝试。对，刚才也是先看的，那个会议没去。大家可能不能好的。 we addition add a new um, content about exchange rate. Now, after covering fund management and write-off, I also need to go over some maintenance tasks required by the finance department. First, it is the exchange rate. Exchange rate. We can uh, take a quick field at the bottom price icon, sign price, and enter rate. It will jump exchange rate. We can click the menu search bar at the top to find the exchange rate maintenance menu. This menu is used to maintain the bookkeeping exchange rate and the allowable range for write-off exchange rates in the system. One important point to note, when we click Add, the right here, Add, there will be options for original currency and target currency. Let's simply say local currency and foreign currency. For example, if we want to convert USD to CNY or RMB, let's say the current exchange rate is 5 is 6.9. We can set a specified range for the write-off exchange rate from 6.5 to 7.0. This way, during write-off, we can adjust the write-off exchange rate, but only within this predefined range. When click OK, and we generate a new row here. This is about exchange rate. That's all. Do you have any questions? If you don't have any questions will end the meeting 5 minutes later.你看这里，那是泰国的，这是胡志明的，这是河内的，我们平常的这里看，这也是河内的，越南河内的，这是泰国的，这也是胡志明的。啊，对啊，这是 HCN 的吧？这是河内的，哇，大约，嗯对的，对的，对，很多华人，那边很多人，华人，就像我们一样，我们每个公司也
我目前接触的几家客户，
啊，
培训也好，都是讲国语，这么多人他都是华人在培训，那他可能是当地的，
对，
当地的，
因为有些比如说菲律宾哈，对对，有些当地的，但是看当地的其实英文差一些，真的，然后也是在学，
因为我几次在那，
啊，
还是对英语好，在他们也英文实际上也是他们的官方语言，
因为有大部分人放松，
有看的，对。
就昨天就后半期脑子空的没东西，或者没得说，因为我看讲的早上也没全部讲完，嗯，丽丽讲了，我丽都讲了，我生讲了，这里好像就是计划，但是基本上也都讲了。反正缺考单跟那个缺考单的区别，反正也都讲了哈。我们就2.5生成吧。嗯，哎，感谢你记得这个评论。哎呀，没，没错。那天你们也提着去吃饭，不然我们再多。
那合同谈没谈的，
没有是你们什么都没说，
反正这个人力能接应吗？
但是你们那个可以，这个也是你们开拓的一个方向啊，其实一旦你那就是你就像你说的，你可以用那个视频啊，对呀、就录屏啊，怎么样？录屏啊，你们可以出一个英文手册，然后再录个屏，这基本就搞定了。可能，然后就可能就负责跟官方沟通一下。
对啊，
嗯
多少年发，多少人来看，
对， 他讲
因为大家
啊，
路面的单价。